Welcome to the Week 5 feature of the Philly Sports Reports Eagles pregame show, brought to you by SeatGeek. Use code Philly Sports Report to save $20 off your first purchase. Today, the Eagles head to Arizona to take on the Arizona Cardinals as the Eagles are looking to go 5-0 on the season. I am Benjamin Goldstein, joined by Sam Hine and Alex McChrystal. Boys, how are we doing today?
Feeling good about another Birds win and kind of on a high since the Phillies clinched last night.
I agree with Alex. Hard to sleep last night after the Phillies win. First time in 12 years they've won a playoff series, but now looking to sweep the Cardinals this weekend.
Yeah, I last night I stood outside Citizens Bank Park and watched the game with the Fandemic crew, and it was unbelievable.
That sounds like a fun experience.
It was awesome, and it was my first ever playoff. It was the first time I ever seen a playoff series win for the Phillies. So that was very exciting. We're going to get started right away here as we have the quarterback matchup today. Two little guys, Kyler Murray and Jalen Hurts, taking it on. How do we feel about this matchup?
I think Jalen Hurts and Kyler Murray are pretty similar. They're very well known for their feet, very nimble. But I think there's a difference between Jalen Hurts and Kyler Murray, where Kyler Murray is the Cardinals' entire offense, and if Kyler Murray is off, the Cardinals are going to lose. There's just no in between. Like, the defense can't win them games. Only Kyler Murray can win them games, and that's basically how it usually works. Whereas with Jalen Hurts, the entire team is built around him. The defense can win him games. A.J. Brown can win him games. Devontae Smith can win him games. Dallas Goedert can win him games. Miles Sanders can win him games. Jalen Hurts' feet can win him games. Jalen Hurts' arm can win him games. Where only that's the big difference, is that the team around Jalen Hurts works to his abilities so much better than Kyler Murray does. And Nick Sirianni is just leagues better coach than Cliff Kingsbury.
Yeah, and I think, it's kind of wild to say that at this point so far this year, considering how well Kyler played in the beginning of last year. But I think right now the Eagles have the advantage of quarterback. Jalen's thrown for almost 200 more yards. He has more total touchdowns. And, Kyler is kind of a hothead on the field, and Jalen is really cool, calm, collected. If we go down early, he's not going to fight with his coach like we saw Kyler do last week against Carolina. He was fighting with Kingsbury on the sidelines. So I think as in a leadership aspect and even on the field right now, Jalen's just above him in both aspects.
I agree. We're going to look at Kyler Murray's stats last game. If my computer could close any slower, that'd be great. All right, here we go. Kyler Murray last week was 23 for 32. This is against Carolina, by the way, in a 26-16 win. Kyler Murray last week was 23 for 32 with 207 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 pick. He was sacked once with a 45.9 QB rating. Jalen Hurts at home in the rain against the Jacksonville Jaguars was 16 for 25 with 204 yards, no touchdowns, and an interception. He was sacked twice with QB rating of 26.2, but he also did have a rushing touchdown.
Yeah, I think the key to this game is one. I think Budda Baker, and I think they got who's the other Cardinal safety that's pretty good. I think I know Budda Baker.
John Blank.
Yeah. Him. It's really the matchup between Goddard, Smitty, and AJ Brown. But I think they can definitely dominate them. But I really think the key is the run game again, because I'm pretty sure the Cardinals' run defense is not that great, and their defense is very, very, very fluky, let's say, and it also kind of relies on the secondary's performance against Kyler Murray and limiting the run game for the defense, because Kyler Murray does not have DeAndre Hopkins, does not have Christian Kirk this year. He's got Zach Ertz, Philly legend, and I can't tell you what his wide receiver one is.
Brown.
Yeah, it's Hollywood Brown, who is very much a hot and cold player. Like, sometimes he'll go like 200 yards, and the other times he'll drop three different passes in the end zone. So it just depends on what version of Kyler Murray in the run game from the Cardinals we get. But I think the Eagles defense is going to do a number on them. but they don't turn the ball over is the key. They don't turn the ball over. And the Eagles have the best turnover differential in the entire league. So if we can see the Eagles get at least 2 takeaways from the Cardinals, I think that'll be a pretty good sign of a win.
And kind of, moving into the next thing of, how do we think Hurts is going to play today? The Cardinals are number 2 in the NFL in blitzing. They blitz on like 45% of their plays. So I think that we're kind of going to see a similar game against the Lions, where if they blitz, Jalen's going to make him pay with his legs. He's been a lot better this year at staying in the pocket and progressing through his reads and finding the open man. Sometimes going back to his first read, seeing his third read. We saw that really well in the Vikings game. So I think that, a lot of the game today is going to come down to is Jalen going to be able to see the blitz pre-snap, be able to read it and recognize it, or if he doesn't see it and they're coming, be able to make him pay with his legs. Because if they're blitzing him, all the time, he's not that great. I saw some numbers that he's not doing that well passing against the blitz so far this year. But where he will be able to hurt is rushing. So I think we could see a really big game rushing from Jalen today as well.
Yeah, I don't know if I should put on the Eagles helmet or not. Should I get in there?
I don't know. I don't know how this is going to affect your headphones, but I agree with that. With that point, I think Hurts has another good day with his legs. As you said, with that Cardinals blitzing stat, Hurts can attack in every way he can, and today I think it's going to be with his legs.
And another thing that's bad for the Cardinals is they're like last or close to last in the league in sacks. So Jalen, if they're only rushing 4, should have time to stay in the pocket, and hopefully one of our receivers will be able to rush, shake free, and he'll be able to deliver in the pocket. Because our O-line's obviously one of the best, if not the best in the league. So if they're not already getting sacked against these other teams like Carolina, and all that kind of stuff, we should be able to dominate them on the line today.
It's a Hassan Reddick revenge game. He was on the Cardinals last year, if I'm not mistaken. And speaking of O-line, we have a few injuries. The inactive.
We're gonna get to the injury. We'll get to the injury report in a bit.
Talking about, but just specifically Jordan Mailata with the offensive line.
Yeah.
You think that's gonna make a difference?
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know how much of a difference it'll make because who are we having replace Mailata?
I think Driscoll. Yeah.
Driscoll. And I think Stoutland is really good at getting these guys prepared, so I'm not too worried about that.
It'll definitely make a difference, I think, but it's not. I still have faith in Driscoll, somewhat. How will the Eagles handle Kyler Murray today?
I think they're gonna. I think so. Here's what I'm gonna say. I think Slay's playing, right? Slay's playing. All right. So Slay, Bradbury, Maddox. I think they got their lockdown guys. I think the cornerbacks largely are
Maddox
better
isn't playing.
Who isn't? Maddox is. Yeah, Maddox isn't playing. Epps, Slay, Bradbury. I think they all will probably cover the crap out of the other team, let's be honest. And I think the key for them is to limit the run game from Kyler Murray and James Conner. I think that's really key. James Conner might be an X factor, but I think that the D line, Hassan Reddick, Fletcher Cox, Brandon Graham, I feel like they're all gonna have good games. And we played them really tight last year with Hurts. Hurts dominated last year. Like I don't think like the only thing that we couldn't do last year is we didn't have Bradbury, we didn't have Gardner Johnson, and now we do. Like we almost beat them last year when they were undefeated. Like we're way better than this team, and I think the way we cover Kyler Murray is going to be way better than last year. And I think Gannon's really found a formula with his defense.
Yeah, so I think that one of the big things is going to be the linebackers today. I think that we're going to try to get home with 4 instead of blitzing and trying to keep contained on Kyler because while he doesn't have the best rushing stats this year, he is really mobile in the pocket and really good at getting out to his right side, finding receivers and all that kind of stuff. So, TJ Edwards isn't exactly the best linebacker in coverage, so I could see Kaiser White playing against Ertz more because Ertz doesn't really block. He's really just a receiving tight end, as we know. So I could really see TJ just kind of staying back, being that spy kind of guy, helping out in the run game. What if Kyler does want to take off, or if we do get contained, be able to rush up the field, and Kyler, steps up in the pocket, TJ will be there waiting and be able to get up there and get some sacks. So I expect a big game from TJ today.
I see that too. What are you saying? I can see that too. All right. Next thing. The Eagles are off to a great start. The Phillies are going to be hosting a playoff game. The NHL is underway. Actually, the NHL is underway.
It is underway in Prague.
Yeah.
Speaking of Phillies, I got to get something on real quick.
So, it is a great time to get some tickets and go to a sporting event. The best way to do that is buying your tickets on SeatGeek. SeatGeek is a ticketing app that takes the confusion out of buying tickets. All you have to do is download the SeatGeek app or go to SeatGeek.com. Through there, when you use code at checkout, use code Philly Sports Report. I'll put it right up. You get $20 off your first SeatGeek order. It's a steal of a deal, and you don't want to miss it. With the prices of tickets for the NFL, especially the Eagles, and the Phillies going into postseason, and they're all postseason, and NHL opening night, and the NBA is getting underway, and the MLS playoffs are going on. It's the best time in sports right now. So, you want to save some money on SeatGeek while you're buying your tickets? Use code Philly Sports Report. You can save $20 off your first purchase. When you're buying tickets, look at SeatGeek first, because they take the confusion out of buying your tickets.
Couldn't have said it any better myself. All right, do we like the Eagles hat or do we like the bucket hat? Which one do we like more?
Good. They're both pretty good. Bucket hat style.
The bucket hat is good. Just put
Yeah, good bucket.
All right.
All right, we gotta go.
What are our notable matchups today?
A D-line versus James Conner and Kyler Murray, because Kyler Murray is really that elusive. And I'd say on the offensive side, I'd say it would be Slay versus Hollywood Brown. And for Hurts, I'd say it's AJ Brown versus Buda Baker, or maybe Devontae Smith. I have a prediction. I think Dallas Goedert's going to have a great game. I don't think they have a lot of guys that can cover him. I think his size and his combination of size and catching ability is way better. And last year he should have had way more yards, but he dropped a couple passes, and I think he's going to have a great game today. He's also on my fantasy team.
It's on my team.
I agree. I also think that Slay versus Hollywood Brown is going to be a big matchup because they don't really have that many great wide receivers, especially with the DeAndre Hopkins being suspended. It's kind of elevated their 2 and 3 into 1 and 2. They have Rondale Moore, who's pretty good, but if we stop Hollywood Brown, we're probably going to win the game pretty handily. And then I think it's our O line versus their D line. I think last week we saw they batted down. I think it was like 9 passes or something like that from Baker Mayfield in Cleveland. And Jalen's not the tallest guy, so I think that that's going to be a big thing for the offensive line, is to be able to try to limit that. And also, it's on Jalen, too, to limit that.
I think a lot's on Driscoll.
And he's had a couple passes batted down, and obviously they have J.J. Watt. But the Cardinals have the fourth least sacks in the NFL so far this year. So I expect their offensive line, even with Driscoll, and he did play pretty well last week. And I saw a bunch of clips of Lane Johnson just completely dominating number 1 overall pick Trayvon Walker. So I just expect nothing else from the offensive line and just have another dominant day today.
I agree. Do we have any questions in the comments or no?
Not yet. That's why I put that up there. Injury report. How is this very heavy injury report going to affect the Eagles today? There without Jake Elliott, as you mentioned earlier, who I'm drawing a blank on. What's his name? Jordan Mailata, and a few other guys. How is this going to affect the Eagles today?
I think you're going to see the Eagles go for it on 4th down a lot more. They usually do that a lot, typically. Even without Doug Pearson, they still go for it a lot. I think you might see a little bit more, but I don't think it's going to be that much of a problem with the kicker, unless, obviously, he sucks, but we don't really know.
Dicker the kicker.
Dick of the kicker. Gotta love it. Mailata. I don't think Cardinals D line is that much to write home about, but I'm almost certain they're gonna double they're gonna attack Driscoll. But that would be a problem if we had a pocket passer, but we don't. So I'm not too worried about that. It's really just I think the big part of so the Cardinals' basic plan is explosive plays, and Gannon's entire philosophy is to limit explosive plays. So I really think you'll see a mashing of two different styles, but it's going to work in the Eagles' favor because they try to limit these big plays, and that's what the Cardinals really rely on.
So I also think that Driscoll will be okay in there. I think one of the biggest injuries for us is Avonte Maddox. Josiah Scott played okay last week, but there was also a lot of rain. You couldn't really throw the ball. So I think it's gonna be interesting to see if they move Hollywood Brown inside on the slot, try to get him away from Darius Slay and get him matched up against Josiah, because then we could have some problems. Obviously they're gonna put CJ or Epps over top of Josiah for help, but we've seen CJ kind of bite a little bit too early on a couple plays this year and get beat a little bit, so that could be one worry for me. But I think that one of the Cardinals' injuries is actually one of the biggest injuries in this game, and that's their center being out. Obviously that's going to be Fletcher Cox, that's going to be Javon Hargrave, that's going to be Jordan Davis lined up on them, and with an already, they're not one of the top offensive lines in the league. I think that Cox has been playing amazing so far this year. And I think that sets up for him to have a really good day, Hargrave to have a really good day, Jordan Davis to stuff James Conner. And then their kicker's out as well. So you can see a lot of 2-point conversions. You can see a lot of going forward on fourth down. So I think it's good at least that they have a kicking problem as well. But I do think that Josiah Scott, hopefully he can step it up and have a good game today. But their center being out could be huge for us as, our line is one of our strengths of our defense.
All right, we'll move on to the keys to the game, brought to you by SeatGeek. Mr. McChrystal, what are your keys to the game?
Limiting Kyler Murray and getting the jump on the Cardinals early. They don't like playing close games, and the formula has been for 4 weeks to jump on the team and get some points early, get to Kyler Murray, and especially win the turnover battle. I think that's the key. That's how they won a lot of the games. Week 1, they had +1 turnovers. Week 2, it was 2. Week 3, it was 3. Week 4, it was 4 turnovers, +4. I really, that is a big key because the Cardinals also don't turn it over a lot. And also have possession of the ball for a long time, and they limit the explosive plays, as I've said. But I think Gannon's very good at that. And I want to see the Eagles' offense just have a lot more methodical drives, maybe. And I'm feeling like a Dallas Goedert, but even maybe an AJ Brown game because I think you're going to see some big plays. I think you're really going to see them try to push the limit with Jalen Hurts' arm today.
Sam?
Yeah, so similar to that, one of the keys that I have for the game is the second half offense needs to be able to put the game away. We've seen in their 2 wins this year for the Cardinals that they've both been comeback, or at least it was tied. Like I know the Carolina game last week was tied. So those teams weren't able to dominate in the second halves and put them away, and Kyler Murray was able to find ways to win. And that's been a problem so far for this team. The Lions almost came all the way back, but besides that, the second half scoring hasn't really been a problem, and it hasn't come back to bite us so far, obviously, as we're 4-0. But I think that it's going to be huge for us because I do think we'll get out to a big lead. I mean, our second quarter scoring is absolutely ridiculous, and I don't think that's going to stop today. So I think one of the biggest things is that if we have a lead early, we need to be able to score and put our foots on their necks and finish the game in the second half, or else we might find ourselves walking out of here with a loss because Kyler, runs around, does some stuff, somebody shakes free, and boom, now it's tied. So that's one of my biggest things. And then Hassan Reddick having another dominant game. I could definitely, he was a first-round pick by the Cardinals. They used him in like a linebacker coverage role. He wasn't really used right. Went to Carolina to get right. They didn't pay him. I think he's going to have a lot of motivation today, and he's been absolutely dominant the last couple of weeks. And he's the most forced fumbles in the NFL. He's right up there with Nick Bosa for sacks in the NFL. And if Kyler starts getting sacked, we're up big, all that kind of stuff. He's gonna start screaming at Cliff. He's gonna be throwing his helmet. He's gonna be yelling at receivers, all that kind of stuff. So I think that if Hassan Reddick has another big game today, I think
He just wants to get on COD faster.
I was thinking the same thing, Sam, and that's getting to the quarterback, getting to Murray. This Cardinals O-line is not the best. So we have one of the better D-lines in the NFL. If you haven't seen that already, I don't know what you're looking at. But we need getting to the quarterback and sacking him just for those things to happen, just for them to completely fall apart. That's my key to the game. Now we move on to this guy's question. Score predictions. That's right. What's your score prediction, Alex? What's your game prediction today?
I'm gonna say 24-14.
Who? All right.
I think 24-14. I think 24-14.
Who's winning?
I think
What team?
Eagles.
Okay.
Eagles. I mean, how do you not pick them? I think they're the best team in the NFL. Actually, I probably have the best roster in the NFL. So, yeah. Here's my brother with McDonald's.
Supply drop.
All right, Sam. What's your score
All right,
prediction?
so I got the Eagles winning today. I got us winning 31-21. I think that we have another dominant day on offense. Defense dominates again. Possibly the Cardinals, pick up a late touchdown, garbage time touchdown. But for all you bettors out there, I think the Eagles are going to cover that 5.5 point spread. I think we're going to win 31-21.
All right. I think the Eagles. I think this is going to be one of the tougher games. I also said that about some other game, and it wasn't. But I think this week it's going to be one of the tougher ones, and I think the Eagles will end up winning, but it's going to be a gutsy one, 27-24. I think Murray is explosive today, even with that D-line getting to him. Still think he finds his way around. But I do think the Eagles still pull out the win. I think Hurts has another great game, and they win 27-24.
So are you predicting a Dicker the Kicker game-winning field goal? Is that what I'm hearing here?
Yeah,
No,
but it's going to
he's-
double doink. But
Are we up? Are we up? Or is he hitting it at the buzzer?
Oh,
or-
no. We're winning. He's
All right,
not doing
but if he
anything.
hits
I mean, he'll get a field goal.
Do we
Jalen's
call it?
going to give him his game check like Carson did to Jake Elliott.
Dude, what
in
if he hits a double
2017?
doink? Do we call it a double dick?
Okay. Anyway, this has been Week 5's pregame show from Philly Sports Reports, brought to you by SeatGeek. Use code Philly Sports Reports, save $20 off your first purchase. Make sure to hit like and subscribe and follow all of our social medias, and check out phillysportsports.com after the game for the game recap by Sam Hine himself, everybody. Thank you guys for watching. Enjoy the game.
Go Birds!
And go Birds.
Yes,
Yeah,
sir.